Hello and welcome to episode 23 of The Franchise. I'm your host, Daniel Ehrenberg.
And I'm your host, Henry Papali. And
And
today we have a special guest with us,
That's
Christian
true.
Toto.
Welcome,
Howdy.
Christian.
Longtime fan, first time caller.
There you go. First time, long time. And
Yeah.
Christian comes through from the website HollywoodandToto.com, which has covered this podcast.
Yeah, he interviewed us a few months back. It was very nice of him, and that went well. It was very, very nice. We thought we'd have him on the show.
Sounds good. I'm chomping at the bit.
All right.
Yeah, to talk about Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. But we're starting with a franchise update.
All right.
We've got some upcoming attempts at franchises and some reboots that I'm ready to announce.
Hit me, pal.
Disney is developing a musical live-action Snow White with the lady who wrote The Girl on the Train set to adapt.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting. Any ideas on that, Chris? Do you know about that?
No, I know it. I just heard the announcement, but I think sort of any sort of property that can be made into a live action franchise is a go at this point, and I'm kind of almost surprised it doesn't happen sooner.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
For
doing the
sure.
fucking Lion King live action. I don't know how they're going to do that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Gee, who's doing that? Julie Taymor?
Ooh, that would be a good bet. Hey, Snow White, Kristen Stewart, right? Wait, can she sing? Can she sing? Oh, wait, she was in the Huntsman one. They can't use her again. And
That's right.
how about Kendrick? They'll get Kendrick.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
She's pitch perfect.
I was actually thinking Robin Williams for the Lion King if he was still alive because he has the body hair.
I love it.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Those knuckles do look like paws.
Oh, all right.
All right. Deadpool director Tim Miller has retreated from Deadpool 2 and is now developing a Sonic the Hedgehog film for Sony.
That's a less than lateral move, isn't it?
I do think so. I think he probably should have done the sequel.
What are you doing, Tim? That was a hit. God,
Maybe he just
Right.
really loves those movies.
he loves those. He loves those video games from 1990.
Creative differences are a powerful thing.
Where's Bob Hoskins? I wish he was still alive so he could play Dr. Robotnik.
Is he dead?
Isn't he?
He's dead, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know. No.
R.I.P..
Last I heard, he was framed by some rabbit.
Last I heard, he was stomping on some mushrooms.
Has there been one video game to film adaptation that's been successful yet? I mean, we're still kind of chasing this. Can
Box
we give up?
office-wise?
Anything wise? I mean, give me something. I know.
Resident Evil, right? You're a fan, right? Dan Rickles.
Listen. I'm a secret fan of the Resident Evil franchise. I've seen all 5 movies multiple times.
God.
We're covering it soon, buddy. Get ready.
Other than that, though, Chris has a point. Has
The
there
the first Mortal Kombat made money.
Okay.
Yeah. What else? Is that it?
Shit, if I know.
Probably.
Well, Assassin's Creed's coming soon with Michael Fassbender. That could be
Oh, yeah.
that could be the game changer.
Oh, you know
Yeah.
what? I was going to save this for later, but I do have an upcoming. How about this? Sean Levy, classic
I know that.
filmmaker.
I know that name.
He does.
Date
I
movie,
think
Night at Museum, right?
Cheaper by the dozen. Yeah,
That's his
Okay.
Citizen Kane.
we'll be covering that soon too.
Yeah.
Sean Levy. Oh, he also worked on Stranger Things, though, so let's not give him too
Huh.
much shit.
Oh, all right.
He will be directing Sony's adaptation of the video game Uncharted.
Okay.
How about that? Now, in the video game, the main character was modeled after physically Nathan Fillion from Firefly and Castle, and he also did the voice of the character in those games. But Sony has announced they're looking for a more bankable star.
Which would be anyone other than Fillion?
Fillion? Hey, Castle was on for 8 years, buddy. He's bankable now on television. Yeah. Has he done any movie other than Serenity?
Boy, I don't know, man. I'm not a Nathan Fillion follower at all. I really don't know.
He's got his flock, though.
Yeah, sure. Well, Dan's part of it.
Yeah, not enough to get me to watch Castle for more than 3 episodes, but for sure. I do like when Nathan Fillion pops up and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. New Image Millennium, I don't know what that is, has tapped Criminals Ariel Vroman to helm the reboot Rambo New Blood.
Oh, my God. Jesus
Same
Christ.
title as Friday the 13th, Part 7. And, hey, no Sylvester in this one.
I thought not.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to play a washed-up John Rambo
No,
or anything?
he did that in the 4th one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be his son or something?
Oh, no, it's not going to be a Rocky Balboa situation.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
So who is it?
We don't know yet, buddy.
Oh.
But keep your eyes open for a unnecessary sequel.
Shia LaBeouf?
No, it's gotta be someone big, right? It'll be like Gerard Butler or some shit.
No, it won't. It'll be some 19-year-old kid. You know it.
Probably, yeah. Who's a big 19-year-old? Army Hammer.
The biggest 35-year-old, 19-year-old there is.
Yeah. All right, couple more.
Yeah.
Aardman Animations is making a sequel to 2015's Oscar-nominated Shaun the Sheep movie.
Yee.
We're all excited about that.
Big box office.
Oh, huge. They need to go back to Chicken Run. Mel Gibson needs some work.
Not now, he doesn't.
No, he's got Hacksaw Ridge. Quick review from Henry Papali.
4 stars. Very good.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. Very
4
good.
Hollywood has forgiven him.
swastikas out of 5.
What'd you say, Chris?
Hollywood has welcomed him back. His penance is over. It's done.
Seems like it. It seems like it. It'll start again, I'm sure.
Wait till
He'll
there's the press rounds.
Yeah, he'll say something crazy.
Yeah.
Hollywood doesn't give a shit anymore. They just announced Bryan Singer is directing a biopic of Freddie Mercury. That creeped me out.
They never gave him any trouble, though. That was all that went under the radar, and no one even cared. Like Mel Gibson does it, and it's all over the fucking CNN and everywhere.
Mel Gibson also made fun of Jews, and it's Hollywood.
That's a no-no.
I'm Jewish. I can say it. Yeah. No, Mel, I guess.
Not a fan. No, you're not a fan. You're
I've never been a huge Mel
You're not a
Gibson
fan
guy.
anyway, before all his bullshit, right? You don't even care.
Yeah. I when he said those things, I wasn't offended as a Jew. I was just relieved no one would ever give me shit again for not liking Mel Gibson. For fuck's sake, you were constantly, Apocalypto, you didn't like that movie?
Second best movie of 2006.
That's insane.
I'm seeing Man Without a Face 2 coming up. I mean, that's good. That's franchise worthy.
I love it. Man with a quarter of a face. He grew some face in there.
Yeah.
I always wanted that movie to be a Dick Tracy spinoff with that henchman guy that didn't have a face.
The blank. Yeah, the blank or
Boom.
whatever, right? Madonna. Yeah.
All right, let's head to TV.
Oh.
Some franchise TV action.
Uh-oh.
Raven Simone is attached to executive produce and star in Disney Channel's That's So Raven revival.
My prayers have been answered.
I know. I'm pumped. That's So Raven. That's the theme song.
I figured that was melodious and gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. And Justin Lin
Oh God.
will revive Knight Rider for
Ooh.
NBC. How about
Again?
that? Didn't they just do that like 8 years ago?
I don't know.
It didn't take.
No, it lasted like 10 episodes or something.
I guess Kit needs a new engine. Justin Lin, you've given me shit for giving him shit, right, Dan? but then it turned out like he's actually done. I know what he just did that I thought was great. He just did the third Star Trek movie. I loved it.
He did, but I've always been a fan of Justin Lin from his very early work and his television work.
Okay.
I enjoyed Better Luck Tomorrow.
I hated that.
And I enjoyed the 3 episodes of Community that he directed.
Chris, did you see the third Star Trek movie?
Yeah, I was I just kind of blasé about it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It seemed a bit of a CGI overkill in the last third.
Yeah.
But it was okay. Some of the banter was kind of what you want from a Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
Well, Pegg wrote it, right?
Yeah, he co-wrote it.
So he's a funny fella.
Yeah. I thought it was a vast improvement on the second one, which I thought was just boring.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I haven't seen the third one, but that's sort of how I felt about the second one. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was just sort of there.
Yeah.
I think Star Wars has really kind of trounced Star Trek as the geek franchise at this point. It's sort of rising and catches all the excitement, and now the Star Trek Beyond did not do well at the box office. Given this is the 50th anniversary year.
Okay.
Yeah, but not like big.
No, not what you want. Star Wars poached their director.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Abrams.
Oh, right,
bro.
of course. Right. Yeah.
All right, let's get into format, guys.
All right.
We're talking about Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. Now, before we start, Christian, what made you choose this movie for your episode?
Yeah.
I just watched it with my kids. My son was so entranced, he actually became Austin Powers for Halloween, so we had to go to Amazon and click on buy the Austin Powers costume. He let his hair grow long, and my kids do the catchphrases that are non-sexual.
How old are they?
They're 5 and 7, and yes, I'm a bad parent for letting them watch a PG-13 movie.
Wait, so they don't say, "Do I make you horny, baby"?
Not yet.
No, but they'll say, "Yeah, baby, yeah."
I'm back from the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what
It's been a parenting chore. Let's just put it that way.
That's what I noticed about this movie. Yeah, and baby. Mike Myers just adds that to the end of any line of dialogue in an attempt to make it funnier.
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it don't. Give us the stats, Daniel.
All right, well, directed by... Well, we should talk about the director, Jay Roach.
Oh, I want to.
He's had an odd career.
Yeah, I wrote down 7 movies of his that I actually either like or love.
He got his start as like an independent filmmaker in the early 90s, and then he didn't do shit for years. And then he made this movie, and then he was just like a huge comedy director for a while. And now he makes like political films for HBO.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah, it is strange.
He also did Trumbo last year, and Game Change, and I think he did Meet the Fockers, didn't he?
He did
Meet the
all
Parents.
the Meet the Parents movies. Or maybe not Little Fockers. But, yeah, he's done a lot of movies. Wait, I'm pulling them up right now.
Yeah, I'll just, while you're doing that, I'll tell you the ones that I really like.
7, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, let me guess. Because I hope you don't disappoint me on this.
I might.
All right.
But I like. Okay, just say like. All right, and then I'll qualify as you go.
All right, you're gonna say All the Way, the Bryan Cranston LBJ movie.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You're gonna say Trumbo.
Yep.
You're gonna say Game Change.
Yep.
You're gonna say Recount.
Yep.
That's all the ones I like. So you like 3 movies I don't.
There are 3 they're much lighter. Besides Austin Powers, there's 2 that I do like. Meet the Parents,
The first one. Yeah.
And I found very funny. I thought it would be total garbage, but it was very fucking funny. Was The Campaign?
Oh, I never saw it.
Yeah, I was surprised. Did you see that, Chris?
Yeah, that's not bad. I enjoyed that.
Oh man, when there's some very funny moments in that movie. Yeah,
I was kind of okay with that hockey movie, Mystery Alaska.
I never saw it. That's the Russell Crowe joint.
Yeah, I think
right?
it's written by David O. Not David O. Russell. What the fuck is the Ally McBeal guy's name?
David Kelly?
David E. Kelly. Yeah. So everyone's, they're hockey players, athletes. So every athlete's stupid and unfunny. But everyone in that movie is very quippy.
I'm so glad Chris is on the show for this because he got the David Kelly reference, which I would have never been able to help you out with.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
Alaska was going to be like a big hit. I remember there's a lot of hype about it, and I think that was Burt Reynolds' follow-up movie to Boogie Nights.
It was. It was also Russell Crowe, like 1 year ahead of Gladiator.
Yeah.
He'd done L.A. Confidential already.
And that was the same year as, if it was 99, that would have been The Insider, too.
That's right, yeah.
He is a chameleon.
Henry, we saw together Dinner for Schmucks.
One of the worst movies I've ever seen in
That
a theater.
is way too harsh. It is a very bad movie. It wouldn't even be in my like 30 worst movies.
It's fucking horrible. I remember being upset that we saw that.
We snuck in too, didn't we?
Yeah, we went to see something else. We were with who were we with?
Casey.
Right.
We had just played basketball.
Yeah, we had just played some hoops in Manhattan, and we were going to see something else, but it was like sold out. That was not what we were going to see, and so we saw that, and boy, was it bad.
I had a good time.
I didn't.
I actually interviewed the specialists who created the little mouse sculptures that are used in that movie.
Really?
Oh, God.
Yes.
I don't remember
that. They're famous brothers, and that's one of the works they do. How obscure is that?
How'd you land that interview?
Well, I know a lot of people, let me tell you.
Famous brothers.
Why invite Tom Hanks to talk to me? I can talk to the guys who created the rats and costumes.
Yeah.
Were they the Coen brothers?
They were not. No, but the name rings a bell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wachowskis? Let me ask you a question. Were they men or women? Wait, that doesn't help.
Oh.
Oh.
Chris has actually interviewed a hell of a lot of famous people, so if that comes up, Chris, please throw in a little anecdote.
I've interviewed Tom Hanks. He actually barked at me.
Really?
Really?
You
Mr.
got
Nice
Tom
Guy.
Hanks to be a dick?
Yeah, we were talking about Castaway years ago, and I said, why don't you do more sort of villainous roles? He's like, I get that question all the time, and I blah, blah. I forget what his answer was. I just remember he was mad.
Oh, boy.
That's not his stock in trade, man. Some people can't play villains. This is the guy who directed Larry Crown, for fuck's sake.
He left Chris's interview and went right to Sam Mendes and said, "Put me in Road to Perdition. I'll play somebody who's kind of villainous."
I'd like to think I inspired that.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, that's right. Road to Perdition. That's why that movie didn't take off.
Yeah.
Man, that movie's boring. All right.
So Jay Roach, those are my thoughts on him. And anybody else got any thoughts on him?
My thoughts are similar to yours. I think he's a better dramatic director than a comedy director because he has, when he's doing comedy, I get the sense he's not a particularly funny guy, so he has no restraint whatsoever.
I'm with you there because I think when you watch, especially the next two Austin Powers movies, when he has a bad joke, it just lies on the screen. He doesn't cut away. It's almost like he doubles down on the unfunny, and he does a little bit with the first film, but he does it way too often with these movies.
I think that's partly Mike Myers, who wrote this movie. He's got this style, and it comes across in Wayne's World, too, those movies, where he likes jokes that, like, the gag is how long they go on.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
They're, like, dependent on length and patience, and they're the kind of gag that's funny at first and then gets unfunny, and then the length makes it funnier, but sometimes it doesn't work. Yes, in theory. It's a thing Family Guy does a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to get away with on TV than the movies, though. You've only had so much time to kind of make you laugh, though.
Especially in animation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are the box office stats here? I was surprised when I saw them.
I was
shocked.
Because I remember this movie not being so much of a thing.
No, I remember it not being so much a thing, but it made way more money than I thought compared to its budget.
It did well overseas, and it did really well in the home video market.
Right.
It was released May 2nd, 1997. Budget of $16.5 million, which also helps. And the box office was 67.7. And I remember I'd never even heard of this movie when it was out on home video, and I was at a friend's house, and he forced me to watch it, and I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
I was also 11 years old.
That helps. And what's funny about this is the box office for the next two, huge, 200 million each.
Because people discovered it on tape, I think, and on cable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember The Spy Who Shagged Me making so much money.
Yeah. I saw the same. I saw it when it came on television like a year later, like on either Encore or on HBO, and that's when I discovered it.
It definitely played on HBO a ton.
Yeah, and I loved it too.
Yeah.
Past tense.
Oh. Spoilers.
A little foreshadowing.
It was number 36 in the box office for 1997. How about these stats? It was just ahead of Volcano and Speed 2 Cruise Control. But just below Starship Troopers and Spawn, both of which were considered disappointments.
Ah.
Yeah.
Really?
I could watch Starship Troopers in a loop and never get tired of it.
Same, buddy. Couldn't agree more.
Oh, boy.
Hey, Henry, would you like to know more?
Oh, shut up. God, Chris, why'd you have to say it? Oh.
And those effects stand up. All the creatures and
they
stuff.
Look
That's
great.
Good.
Yeah, especially for the tone of that movie. They don't even have to be as good as they are. And yeah, but I think that movie was way big budget. It was like, like it made 70 million or something, but like the budget was like 150. Yeah.
The budget for Starship Troopers was 150
or
million.
130. It was definitely over 100. I know that.
What did they think they were getting out of that movie? I mean, no offense. I mean, even if you like it or hate it, I mean, it's a Paul Verhoeven movie. Really? They sunk that much money into it?
You think Dina Meyer comes cheap? Come on.
Listen, Casper Van Dien makes the big bucks.
Oh, God.
Actually, probably Denise Richards made the most money of any of the actors in that movie. But I think they thought it's Paul Verhoeven. He made Total Recall and RoboCop. Those were big hits.
Basic Instinct.
Yeah, big hits. They thought he was going to give him a big action movie about a war with bugs.
Yeah.
And it's weirder than that.
He sort of did.
He did a little. I think when they hired Casper Van Dien, they were like, we're going to make this guy an action star.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
And there's about 16 different made-for-video sequels to that movie, which I've never watched any of them. But
I think there's only 2.
Oh, I think there's... maybe it feels like more.
They're, by the way, directed by the writer of the first one.
Of course.
Yeah, so I've always been kind of curious about them. And Casper Van Dien comes back for the third one, which is a bummer for him.
His schedule is alarmingly free.
I was just gonna say, what was he doing? Who cares? Might as well.
Hey guys, this won the MTV Movie Awards for Best Villain and Best Dance Sequence.
Oh, Starship Troopers did?
No, Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
Yeah.
It could have. There's both dancing and villains in Starship Troopers. Best villain, the brain bug.
So it was the
Best
MTV
dance
crowd
sequence.
was awake.
Best dance sequence. That part where Jake Busey plays the violin.
Oh.
So how about, I didn't know this, Mike Myers wanted Jim Carrey to play Dr. Evil.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I read it, but I never heard that before. But he was busy doing Liar Liar.
I think that's bullshit. I think he
Yeah.
knew Jim Carrey was busy with Liar Liar, and that was the only way he could convince the studio to let him play multiple parts.
Ooh.
Because Mike Myers is a control freak and an asshole.
Yeah. That's everything I've read about him. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. That's why
I mean, I love him, but yeah.
I don't see Dana Carvey working with him these days. And he could use the work. Hey, he did Church Lady last night.
Yeah, I heard. I didn't see it, but I was watching World War II veterans get blown to bits on a Hacksaw Ridge.
All right.
Actually, Dana Carvey has a new Netflix comedy special that just got released.
Yeah.
I know. I put it on my Netflix list.
What is it? Married
Straight
white
White and 60?
male, straight white male 60. Yeah.
Yeah, I put it on my Netflix streaming list. I'm gonna watch it. Why not?
Spoiler alert.
Oh, you saw it?
I saw parts of it. I fell asleep to it recently. Not entirely the special's fault. It's not as bad as you feared, but certainly not a return to form.
I
Okay.
heard him on the Comedy Bang Bang podcast promoting it, and it convinced me not to watch it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Call that anti-promotion.
I'm going to be taking that off my... I'm doing that right now. And gone.
Spoilers, the Barack Obama doing nursery rhymes bit, hilarious. All right. So Austin Powers, it comes to us from our old pals at New Line Cinema.
Oh, your fave.
My favorite. And listen, what do you want to talk about? There's so many catchphrases. I wrote down like 5 in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, it's your baby here, baby.
Well, let's start with the opening sequence. That's the 60s flashback. All right.
Okay.
Big old Hard Day's Night parody. We're starting with.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
huge. Also, I
Um,
read that he was inspired by Burt Bacharach. This was kind of what made him think of the movie. He wanted to kind of capture that swinger vibe of the '60s, and that's, of course, Burt Bacharach is name checked with an album. Then actual Burt Bacharach appears in the film.
That's
Yeah.
right, and in the second one, I believe.
Yep, with Elvis Costello.
That's right.
Wow.
This one, I don't know about this Hard Day's Night bit. It's okay. I like the one bit where he turns around in the phone booth with the beard. Ringo does that in Hard Day's Night. But, I guess this is a character you can do that with, unlike Superman. Right, Henry? Richard Lester. But, I don't know. I really wanted to come in and say really nice things about this movie because I know how much it means to Mike Myers, and I used to be a big Mike Myers fan. And I
too.
know the character's a little bit based on his dad because
Sure.
his dad is from Liverpool and was really into James Bond movies growing up.
Yeah. Right.
But unfortunately, it kind of didn't hold up for me. I laughed a few times and I wrote down every time. So
Yeah.
I'll flag them up as we go.
I'll go next, and then I want to hear Chris. I almost did something unprecedented for this podcast. I almost wrote my star rating before I watched it. I almost just wrote 5 stars. I was like, I love this. I mean, it's a come on. And I'm glad I didn't, because it really didn't hold up for me. I was disappointed. I found almost all the Dr. Evil stuff still hilarious.
I kind of agree. Those were better.
The best stuff was the Dr. Evil stuff. The Austin Powers stuff ties back a little bit with both of you, what both of you were saying earlier about the lingering on the jokes. And I forgot also, and I know that we're in for this next week. Thanks, Chris, for picking this franchise. Next, that the scatological humor is like, there's so much of it, and that's like not just that's my personal. It's not really my type of humor.
Wait, Henry, is it not your bag, baby?
It's not my bag. It's not my bag. It's
You
not
like
my
the
barf.
bits and pieces.
I don't like the bits. It's not my barf bag. It's just not my thing, and there's so much of it, and I was disappointed. I just didn't laugh as much as I remembered laughing, and again, I've said this is for other movies. It's mercifully short. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still liked it. It's just not gonna.
Buddy,
not gonna.
credits start at an hour 23. I was into it.
Yeah, 83 minutes, pretty much. Yeah,
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can't turn it off because of the.
Oh, there's
credit.
funny credit sequences.
Yeah. So, Chris.
I think the worst of this movie is like Warmed Over Benny Hill, because sort of the scatological gags, the sight gags, it's like you're straining so much. I always felt that this was a great character trapped in a mediocre movie, and I kind of still feel that way. I think this is an amazing creation, and that Myers is terrific, and that he creates jokes where none exist. But yeah, that it's when I was watching the commentary, Mike Myers was clearly in love with the worst jokes in the film, like the Lucky Charms gag. Like he's so proud of that. And I'm thinking it's a horrible joke that shouldn't have made the cut, let alone get expanded into like a 2-minute bit. And I think he just when you have
the weirdest line reading in the entire movie, by the way, is Frau Farbissina's "It's a television commercial."
Yeah, I think when you describe Myers, it sounds like he's a control freak. It sounds like he runs the show, and that's good and bad. And I think that's why you need someone else who kind of can tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, you got to cut that short. That one's not killing." So, but I don't think he's got that in his inner circle.
Well, I don't think he has an inner circle. Like most comedy writers will share it with their comedy friends, like their scripts. But
yeah,
I think Mike Myers just writes his shit down and thinks everything's golden.
Yeah, and that's why
although maybe not, because he is hard on himself. Like, I know they were trying to get that Sprockets movie off the ground for a long time, and they ultimately didn't do it because he felt like he never got the script right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think we dodged a massive bullet on that one.
I agree on that, because I used to love that sketch, but that's one of those like ladies' man where it's like that doesn't need to be a movie, Lorne.
Well, that's how I felt about this almost. It's like an SNL movie where we didn't have any sketches to fall in love with the character.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, like that's what it reminded me of more than anything. Like, like Austin Powers might really work for like 5 minutes in a sketch, like
in a series of sketches, maybe.
Sure, like It's Pat, or
that was
just compare movie. Austin Powers to It's Pat.
That was a great movie.
Oh, you like that movie? I do like
No.
Dave Foley in that movie.
I never saw it.
I did in theaters.
Jesus.
That 1 week it was in theaters. Yeah. Or A Night at the Roxbury is another one.
Oh, well, Lorne, Michael. I mean, there's a shit ton of them. I mean, I can't even.
Can I just say though, I rewatched A Night at the Roxbury probably 8 or 9 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, and I laughed harder at that than I did at this.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Why?
Yeah.
What was the Tim Meadows one?
The Ladies' Man.
Ladies' Man.
Yeah. And by the way, Tim Meadows as the star of a feature film, stop it. I like Tim Meadows. He's
Love
good.
Tim Meadows.
He's good on that new show, Son of Zorn, but that's what he should be doing.
No, and he's great when he pops up in like a funny little cameo comedy role in something, but he's just not a feature length guy.
One thing we haven't mentioned yet, I hope I'm not skipping ahead, is I've been in love with Elizabeth Hurley all of my adult life, and you will not appreciate how good she is in this until you rewatch the next two movies. Trust me.
With Heather Graham and Beyonce?
Heather Graham is so stiff, I can't describe it. I mean, they must have worked overtime just to get those takes out of her.
Yeah.
I was going to make a so stiff joke regarding Heather Graham, but I'll refrain.
You might offend Henry.
Listen, Elizabeth Hurley was a major childhood crush of mine. I remember seeing Bedazzled in theaters, and then just going home and waiting for pictures from that movie on my computer to load for like a half hour.
I love how you refrain from the stiff joke and then you basically go right to a masturbation joke.
I wasn't saying masturbation. I just wanted to look at Elizabeth Hurley. I love Elizabeth Hurley.
I do too, but I will say I think Heather Graham was sexier in Spy Who Shagged Me. But.
Well, Heather Graham's, that was her golden era. But
right.
Elizabeth Hurley, there was a period in my life where I went to see movies if Elizabeth Hurley was in them.
What else is she really in?
Yo, I saw Serving Sarah with Matthew Perry in theaters. She was in. She was in one season of Gossip Girl. She played Nate's boss.
Have we had a single episode of this podcast where Gossip Girl didn't come up at least once?
Yeah, the ones where Gilmore Girls comes up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. I forgot.
That's right.
So you guys are bored with Elizabeth? I mean, not just the fact that she's gorgeous, but I thought she was actually good in this movie.
I agree, but I think her part was horribly underwritten, and I hate that she has like one night on the town with Austin, and all of a sudden she's desperate to fuck him for the rest of the movie.
And he turns her down because she's drunk, because I'm sure that would happen.
Right.
Yeah, Austin Powers is turning down people because they're drunk.
He's a gentleman. Now he's a gentleman. Yeah. Oh, Lord.
There are some good touches in this movie. There's when they're driving the Jaguar, they should, you know, like in the old movies, they have this fake background that looked like you were driving in a vehicle.
Yeah, and they did that.
They did some of that. That was kind of cool. So, and sort of the hard day's night stuff I thought was kind of fun, and I think that the production design is spectacular in this movie.
I liked the interstitial segments with his band.
So did I.
Laugh-In-esque.
Yeah, with Matthew Sweet on guitar.
Yes.
And we're not even mentioning, I think one of the reasons when it came out, or when it was on, when I first saw it, that I loved it so much was because I'm sure, as you both know, I'm a huge James Bond fan. And so I just fucking loved back in the day, all the James Bondian aspects of it. And, you know, they're still funny, and there's so many of them, but, we haven't mentioned that was just, I mean, it's so clearly that's what it is. I mean,
there's a ton of James Bond references,
I mean,
and probably way more that I didn't even get.
Yeah, the chest hair, Sean Connery, you know, Donald Pleasance is the Dr. Evil physical appearance.
A lot of vagina.
Right. The Lorne Michaels, well, that's not James Bond.
The Lorne yeah, Michaels he's just doing, Dana Carvey says Mike Myers is ripping off his impersonation.
Yeah,
of
I read
Michaels.
that.
I don't buy it. Everyone that's ever worked on SNL has the same goddamn impersonation of Lorne Michaels.
That's right. That's right. I mean, that's kind of a strange. That just might be like part of their little brotherly feud. Yeah,
their
exactly.
Lovers spat.
And I remember one time a long time ago. I didn't read this for this. I just never forgot it because I thought it was hysterical. That I think like Sean Connery was at some awards ceremony, and someone asked him if he had seen Austin Powers or something, and he basically just called Mike Myers like a fucking idiot.
Wow.
Yeah, he was not happy. Like, he did not think it was funny. And it's like, come on, man. Sean, what do you know? Because, like, the whole, like, judo chop, you know, that's totally like a Roger Moore thing, you know. How
that didn't make me laugh once, and it happens about 40 fucking times.
No, it didn't make me laugh at all either. But it's like a reference to, like, basically how James Bond incapacitates villains with virtually no physical capability at all. You know, Daniel Craig, he was not. I also read that Myers got the costume kind of idea, part of it, from the Lazenby incarnation. I never knew that, but it makes sense because that movie was in '69. That was kind of that's one of your favorite Bond movies. It is your favorite Bond movie, right, Dan?
Second favorite.
Okay. That's right.
Casino Royale. Casino Royale is the best.
And by the way, the Daniel Craig reference before, Daniel Craig went on record saying that he thought that the new Bond movies took away the gadgets and stuff because Mike Myers' Austin Powers killed it. It sort of made so much fun of it that he couldn't go there. That's what he said. I don't know if Team Broccoli would commit to that as well, but that's one of the things he said.
That's interesting. Because I liked that they in the three Daniel Craig movies, or four, sorry, that they toned it down a lot of bit from the Pierce Brosnan, where they were like invisible cars and shit.
Oh, I remember the invisible car.
Yeah, literally an invisible car. But like, I wouldn't have thought they would have given any credence to the influence of Austin Powers. But who knows?
Yeah.
You know.
Craig could have been on pain meds for his knee injuries, so maybe that.
Yeah.
By the way, you
I
guys
think
haven't
it
mentioned
also had a
product placement.
lot to do with like the Nolan Batman movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because those
Realism?
movies tone down the gadgets and stuff too.
It's
Yeah.
gritty. Gritty is the sort of the calling card of today's age. It's got to be gritty. It's got to be tough. It's got to be dark. It's got to be like DC Comics, but good.
Ooh, shots fired.
That's
Martha!
What about the Big Boy and the AOL references here?
Oh
It's just
my God.
late product placement.
I did write down the AOL references. He gets email in this movie. It's a real you've got mail situation.
Speaking of Tom Hanks. Yeah.
That's it.
That's
And by the
right.
way,
I didn't even the LB's Big Boy. I mean, I remember those being around, but was that much in the cultural zeitgeist in the '90s to make it a fucking gag?
No, I think that's kind of the point.
I think when the check clears, that's it.
Oh, you
You
think
think-
that was product placement?
Yeah, because there's a
Yeah.
line in the movie where one guy says, "Oh, they've always got the best prices and best food or something."
I thought that was actually a clever joke, but
No,
maybe it's
yeah,
product
but-
placement.
I didn't think it was irony, Dan. I think that was like a definite like, this is big. Let's put this in here. Like Starbucks or something would later become not quite that monster, but Yeah.
No, I get it. It's like Domino's in that Back to the Future 2.
That's right.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
they love it. Can't get enough.
Yeah.
All right, I you want to hear some of the funny things, the things I laughed at in this movie?
Bring it.
All right. I do like that Mike Myers seems to be having a lot of fun. And he doesn't always, because I showed my girlfriend Wayne's World. She'd never seen that. And she said it's disconcerting to watch. I'd never thought of this before, because Mike Myers seems like a technician, and Dana Carvey just seems like he's having fun. So
Oh.
she liked Garth way more than Wayne.
Interesting.
Yeah. But he does seem to be having fun here, especially when he's Austin. And I think when he's trying to have sex with her on the airplane, oh, I fell over again, does make me laugh.
What about when he covers his nipples when he goes into the tub with a lot of vagina? That was pretty funny. Like he didn't want to get burned by the water. I think that's a good throwaway gag.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. It's okay. I liked Seth Green almost throughout. Listen, 1997, prime Seth Green. We're talking Buffy Seth Green here.
Oh yeah.
Is this a fair comparison to compare his appearance here to John Cryer in Superman 4? Like sort of a blatant appeal to the younger
Ooh.
set?
Ooh.
That's not bad. Dr. Evil does the Macarena to prove he's hip. That gag holds up. I enjoyed the scenes at the UN. The different costumes made me laugh. There's a sumo wrestler and a Canadian Mountie hanging around.
Right.
I thought that was clever. I like that the Q character's name is Basil Exposition.
That was funny. I agree.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And I thought the steamroller bit towards the end.
That was funny. I agree.
With, I believe that guy was a Mad TV cast member.
You believe
It
right?
was.
Yeah,
Michael McDonald or something like that?
something
Yep.
like that. No
Well,
SNL cast members in this entire movie.
Ooh.
By
When
the way.
I saw when I was
Will Ferrell.
right when I was looking at the cast and I saw the name Michael McDonald, I swear to God, guys, I instantly thought this is before I watched it. I was looking at the cast, and I said to myself, they got fucking Michael McDonald from the Doobie Brothers in Austin
What a
Powers?
fool believes!
Yeah. I was like, boy, I'll have to look for him. And I literally did. And it's not that Michael McDonald.
If I hear Yamo be there one more time,
Time.
I'm gonna Yamo my
Yamo burn
fucking
this-
brains out. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna Yamo burn this place to the ground, right?
40-year-old virgin.
Yeah.
Love it.
And
By
by the way,
Will
Oh,
Ferrell
go
they
ahead.
turned into Mustafa, the Muslim guy with a fez on his head.
Yeah, but I read that he was also, I wouldn't have caught this, but I read that they got the idea for him from Octopussy, because there is one of the main villains in Octopussy wears that fucking hat.
Yeah, but Will Ferrell's basically in blackface in this movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah,
I didn't care for that.
yeah.
That aged worse than the Macarena.
How about when he's not dead? I remember that making me laugh a lot 20 years ago.
Same. Didn't hold up for me.
Yeah.
That's another one of those gags that depend on the length of them.
And I'll tell you right now, I could tell you the moment I remember laughing the hardest when I first saw the movie, okay? I didn't laugh at all. And I still think it's funny, but I remembered it differently. I remembered it being funnier is when he is telling the United Nations that he demands $1 million and they all start laughing. I fucking thought that was the funniest line ever. I was gone. And it's not that funny at all. It's funny when it's funnier when he tells his henchman the $1 million thing.
Well,
than
of
Robert
course it is,
Wagner.
because all this is him, Mike Myers, saying the same joke twice in consecutive scenes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, it's funny the first time. And Robert Wagner, by the way, little shout out, he's funny. He's good. I thought he was good in this.
Yeah, as number 2, a poop joke.
I think if you take out the elongated jokes and the running gags that don't work, it might be like a 5-minute short.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And I want them to take those out. Please stop it with the sight gag scenes where you can't see Mike Myers' dick or Elizabeth Hurley's boobs. Stop it.
I agree.
Stop it with Tom Arnold thinking he's taking a shit like 2 stalls away when
I
he's
agree,
actually... By the way, we never see the Lucky Charms guy again for the rest of the movie. Does Austin Powers murder him?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I don't like that. First of all,
Well, he's killed. Of course, there's tons of people die in this movie.
I don't like when he kills that guy, and I don't like when he fucks a lot of vagina. Because he's a cartoon character, and I don't like to think of cartoon characters having sex. I immediately pictured that scene. So I'm picturing Austin Powers nude with a hard dick. I don't want it.
It's the James Bond stuff. That's why it's in there, man.
I get it, but
Yeah, you got to have that. I mean, you got to have it. Also sets up the conflict between the main characters too. You know, will she accept him for who he is, and will he put his swinging days behind him? That's as much. There's a tiny story here, but that's it.
I get it though. This is a James Bond parody, but if this movie isn't for 12-year-old boys, then this movie isn't for anybody. I love that your kids loved this movie because they should love it. Like, this is they're the right age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Intellectually.
Yes, exactly.
My favorite line that held up, and I did laugh. This was and I remembered this as also being one of my favorite lines, and it still is when they're at the. You guys might shoot me right down here, but when Seth Green and him are at the therapy session with Carrie Fisher.
I was okay with that scene.
And he stands up and gives his autobiography. That is fucking genius.
And
I love that.
I liked that because it was subtle, and there were lines that were so oddly random.
Oh my god! The only line in the movie I wrote down. My father made outrageous claims like he invented the question mark. I mean that. Oh my god!
And you know why that scene works, buddy? Because it isn't obvious.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Too much of this movie is exactly what you think it's going to be.
There should be more Dr. Evil in this movie.
I think there is in the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Mini-Me kind of doubles the coverage, so.
Oh, God.
And Rob Lowe.
Oh.
Oh, that's good. I mean, okay, that'll be something to look forward
Rob Lowe
to.
plays young Robert Wagner.
Right. That's good.
Role he was born to play.
Sure. Because I don't know if you remember the plot of the second one, Henry, but Dr. Evil goes back in time to steal Austin's mojo.
Oh, right. Oh, God. Right. Shit.
Get pumped.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
You remember laughing not once in this one? Wait.
Oh, I know. I remember. That's the funny part about our podcast, Chris, is that we love when we have people on and we allow them, we want them to pick the franchise. But this happened with I don't know if you listened to the episode, Chris, with The Matrix, but we had Dan's old co-host and friend Nathaniel on. They did the Surviving Survivor podcast. That he came on because he specifically wanted to cover the Matrix sequels, and we opened that episode with Dan openly apologizing to me. I got no such apology from Nathaniel, but I appreciated the apology.
Well, part of that was I told you they weren't going to be as bad as you think they are.
Right.
And then I rewatched them, and they're so much worse than I thought they were.
Yeah. Fucking horrible.
And by the way, we didn't mention that Clint Howard has a cameo here, and it's not a Ron Howard movie.
Yeah.
Good point.
That's a nice little thing.
How about what are some of your favorite cameos?
Yeah.
I enjoyed Seinfeld's The Soup Nazi as a blackjack dealer.
I didn't enjoy Tom Arnold.
Yeah, I didn't either, but yeah. Hey, you introduced your kids to Tom Arnold. You could feel good about that.
The work is done here. Thank you.
Maybe they'll watch Happy Endings next.
Oh.
I did like him whacking the blind guy who's sitting by the door in that scene.
I liked the line that he says when he comes in. That was funny.
Oh, I don't suppose you happen to see anything at all.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was all right.
And I still liked allow myself to introduce
myself. Yeah.
I mean, it's a quotable movie. I mean, it's one of those movies that almost a highlight reel would do the job.
But that's the funny stuff. It's always like one-liners.
Right.
That are good. The sight gags and the sex gags and they just don't work for me. And Henry, get psyched for the second and third ones because they reprise almost every terrible gag from this movie.
Yeah,
if you enjoyed Shush, you're gonna love Zip It.
I conflated that because I was during that scene. I was like, oh, I thought he says Zip It.
That's part 2.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
All right, guys, where should I send the apologies, the flowers, and the candy?
I got a fascinating factoid about this movie that I don't think either of you guys. I also have a superhero count, but I don't think we're there yet.
Ooh, I'm excited about that.
I got 4.
Ooh, I don't think I looked at many of the cast members in this movie.
But I have a fucking fact here that'll probably blow your minds. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. The guy who plays Random Task. Okay?
The Odd Job parody, yeah.
Right. And played by an actor named Joe Son, S-O-N, I don't know, Joe Son. And he is currently serving life in prison for kidnapping, raping, and torturing a woman. And then while he was in prison, he murdered a guy. So
with a shoe?
What's that?
With a shoe?
Seriously? Rape? Who rapes?
Yeah, so that's what happened to that guy.
Wow.
Yeah, he is never to be heard from again. And it was one of the most heinous, like him and his, I don't want to even get it. It was so grisly, I couldn't even. Yeah,
I remember when this happened, actually.
Oh, really?
I'd totally forgotten. I would never have brought it up because I didn't remember, but I do remember that being a news story.
Ouch.
Really?
Yeah.
The only reason that I found it
he
was
did it with
because
his brother, is that right?
It was like a maybe, I don't know, it was a friend or a brother or something. Yeah, and they like repeatedly tortured and raped this woman. And I mean, but the only reason I knew about it was because I was clicking on the different cast members actually to check for my superhero count. After I had gotten a couple I had already recognized, I sometimes go like, maybe I missed somebody. And I just figured, hey, this guy, maybe he made it, who knows? And then like his page was like completely about this. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrifying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Random Task is doing a lot of random tasks right now.
So we won't see him in Mike Myers' the 4th installment, the rumored fourth.
The
and
It's
fifth.
rumor-
never
or-
gonna happen.
No,
No. Stop it.
I thought they were still talking about it. It says that on the page.
They should
It's
just
all
do a
talk.
Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
They did it with Ace Ventura. And The Mask. Give us your superhero count.
All right. Well, I'm proud of 2 of them, and then 2 of them, I kind of like. I was like, does it count? But we decided we're counting voiceover work, right, Dan?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I'll do those 2 first.
Okay.
Frau, what's her face?
Frau Farbissina is
She's
the
done it.
character's name.
She's done a bunch of DC cartoons.
As who?
I didn't look.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. When they're cartoons, I don't really pay that much attention. They were somebody that I didn't know. And Michael York has done a shit ton of DC cartoons as well.
Who does he play?
I don't know.
Help me out here, buddy.
Yeah. 'Cause
Michael York, I'm
the other
a
2
big
are
fan
better.
of.
Michael York. Yeah, but the other 2 are better. That's why I spent more time on the exhaustive process of researching and clicking.
Do you know that
Reams of data.
for so many years I thought Michael York played the painting in Ghostbusters 2?
Vigo.
Yeah.
I can see that.
He looks like Michael York.
Oh, I don't have my Die Hard notes, but no, that's the Die Hard guy.
Yeah,
Remember?
I know. Yeah.
He's dead.
Is Michael York related to Susanna York?
Ooh,
Ooh.
I don't know.
Wow.
Wasn't she in one of the Super movies? Or
Is
Yeah,
he
she's,
related to
she's
York
su-
peppermint patties?
She's Superman. She's Marlon Brando's wife. She's the one holding the cue cards for him in this first Superman.
Sometimes it's Terrence Stamp.
Right? Yeah, I don't know if they probably are related. Who knows? Okay, my other 2 superhero counts I'm really proud of. The first one I noticed was I just knew he had to be in something. I knew he had to be in something. Okay, Charles Napier, who has done like literally 5,000 movies. He's in Silence of the Lambs as the guy that Hannibal Lecter eats, one of the guards, one of the prison guards. You know him, Chris? Do you remember?
oh yeah, yeah, he's a
Who is
classic.
he in this?
What?
Who is he in this? In
He's
Austin Powers.
he's the general. He's like one of the generals that unfreezes.
Got it.
Yeah.
The
And
one
he-
with kind
he-
of a flat top.
Yeah, he was in Lois and Clark, and he was in The Incredible Hulk,
Whoa.
and he was also a various DC voice. So that's 2 live action superheroes.
Who
And
does
we
he
never
play
thought- in what?
in any of those?
I don't know.
You're driving me nuts.
I know it's kind of fun.
I'm gonna
I
look at
can't-
these fuckers up.
Well, because here's the thing: when I look, if I don't tell you who they are, that means they're playing just like a throwaway character. If he was playing like Lex Luthor, I would note it. But what is it going to matter if I tell you he played Joe the truck driver? Does that really matter?
Surely Michael York had a better voice part than Joe the truck driver.
He played the truck driver in the Green Lantern Corps. Okay, but here's my favorite one. The best one is the Russian guy who helps to unfreeze Austin Powers, who I knew from like Moscow on the Hudson. His name is Elya Baskin, and you'll like this one, Dan.
Who does he play in Austin Powers?
I just said he's the Russian guy that when Austin Powers gets unfrozen and he goes.
Okay, I got it. I got to admit, I zoned out for a second.
He was so disgusted with me not knowing who these people were. In these
I'm
movies.
looking up all their characters right now. That's what I'm
All right,
doing.
you're not going to find anybody worth it except probably Michael York, like you said. He probably voiced somebody cool, but pay attention. Pay attention to this.
I'm listening.
He was in Spider-Man 2 and 3, the Tobey Maguires. He played the landlord. Rent.
Of course.
Rent!
Yeah, with that like attractive but kind of anorexic daughter.
Kind of. Yeah. So that was the big one for me. He was in because that's where that's my starting point was really the 2000 X-Men movie. So anybody in anything post that is that's kind of cool. So yeah, he was in Spider-Man 2 and 3. So really, you got a 4 count here. And if you found Michael York's role in the DC universe, please tell me.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah, he played a guy named Kanto in Superman. I don't know who that is.
Oh, see? It was vital to our podcast.
I was curious. Whatever. Hey, was the Love Guru a superhero?
Oh, man alive.
Mariska Hargitay. What?
That gave Vern Troyer another gig, so that's not so bad.
I saw Vern Troyer on an episode of Celebrity Wife Swap. I don't remember who was the other one. Maybe I'll look that up and we'll talk about it next week.
I thought you were going to...
lady?
Yeah, who was the lucky lady, he said.
Oh, baby. I'll look it up right now.
I thought you were going to say you saw him in Baby's Day Out because he played the baby!
He did?
I believe so.
I've seen that movie more than once.
I've never seen that movie, and I just have a recollection that he talked about being in that or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Also, now that Kenny Baker's gone, can Vern Troyer kind of slip into R2?
It's too tiny.
He is very small.
He's very small.
Maybe he could play that new, the best part of the last Star Wars movie. Who was the droid in that?
BB-8?
BB-8, yeah. There you go. BB-8. BB-8.
And by the way, they didn't age Mimi Rogers at all, even though it was set in the 60s and kind of flash forward to the 90s. She looked
good point.
They gave her a slight white streak in her hair.
Yes. I think 3 gray hairs.
How great is Mimi Rogers? I love her.
She is great. Great on the X-Files.
Bad British accent in this.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I looked her up because I thought surely she would have made a cameo in some kind of superhero movie, but she never did. Not in a TV show or anything. Oh, and I do want to
She was in that Lost in Space movie.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Heather Graham.
Oh, good point. And Matt LeBlanc.
I do want to point out that this is also just for Dan because he wants to cover eventually the massive franchise Hard Bodies.
Oh yeah.
I looked up the actress who played Halata Fachina, and she is actually in Hard Bodies too.
Oh, I know that. That's what reminded me of Hard Bodies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I looked her up.
Is that where she got the boobs for?
Hard Bodies? Could be. Hey, Vern Troyer wife swapped with Hines Ward, former Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver. So Vern Troyer got to date his Hines Ward's wife. But I remember that in that episode we got to see Vern Troyer's living situation, and he lived in this tiny 1-floor house. And he had a game room in it, and he'd go in there and play video games, and there were pictures of Playboy models on the walls. It was such a bummer, and he was living with his girlfriend and her son, and he actively wanted to have no relationship whatsoever with her son.
Oh my.
They talked about it. And I remember Hines Ward's wife made them go out and bond.
Well, it's sad to begin with, this whole situation, but also when you live in a gingerbread house, that sucks,
How dare you?
Mini Me. Is he in the third one too?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Chris, what did you get us into?
I think he might have a mini me in that movie.
A mini me?
I think so. I could be wrong. I remember Mini Me was conceived as an Island of Dr. Moreau reference.
Ooh.
Oh.
Maybe Dr. Evil is Marlon Brando.
Is Warwick Davis his mini me?
No, Warwick Davis is definitely taller than Vern Troyer.
He is. I think he wins the height contest, yeah. And the
By the
funny
way,
contest.
I just rewatched Weekend at Bernie's, so just thank me for not putting that in front of you guys.
Yo, we have to cover Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, we are. Don't worry, Chris. I'm not mad at you. He already wanted to do that.
As
no.
someone who watched every episode of The Single Guy with Jonathan Silverman, I'm watching Weekend at Bernie's.
And
Only
that
two
came-
of them.
Yeah, and that came up a few weeks ago because that actor who plays him is in Friday the 13th Part 7.
Oh, that's right. He's in part 7? You can pull that?
I pulled it.
I think it might have
Because,
been 8.
No, it's 7 because it's the shitty one because he plays the doctor trying to get her to be the psychic. And
You're
move the shit.
100% right.
I know.
Talking about Terry Kaiser?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening, Chris.
Terry Kaiser. Yeah, we flagged you up at the beginning of this episode as a listener.
He heard parts of one.
All right.
I've heard multiple shows.
No, I know you have.
How about other stuff that doesn't hold up? There's a Carrot Top reference at some point.
Gary Coleman.
There is, yeah, and Vanilla Ice. But
I don't remember Gary Coleman reference. When was that?
it's when they're unfreezing him. Like he says, "This is our celebrity wing," and
Yeah.
we see Gary Coleman and Vanilla Ice,
Oh, I remember the Vanilla Ice. I didn't remember Gary Coleman.
played by lookalikes, both of them.
Why?
Why
as if
couldn't they just find someone who needed work and have it be like a fun cameo?
Or find someone who needed work, like Gary Coleman and Vanilla Ice.
I think Vanilla Ice was trying to rebrand himself at that point. Remember, he like did new metal for
yeah.
a second.
Right. He was
Yeah.
in Limp Bizkit for like a year.
No, but he was trying to be Fred Durst. I think he like had
Yeah.
a feud with Fred Durst at some point.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
That was as successful as Chris Gaines from Garth Brooks.
still waiting for that movie, buddy. That was supposed to be a movie and an album.
Oh.
I thought it was an album.
It
it
was
was
an
an
album. They released the album, but they never released the movie.
Ooh.
And it was a terrible Saturday Night Live episode. I remember that.
That's not a terrible episode.
Really?
Yeah, that episode has the pretty good scene with Will Ferrell as Satan.
Okay.
Trying to give him a new song. You know what I'm talking about?
Nope. Don't remember it.
And it also has the amazing backstage sketch with Tracy Morgan and Lorne Michaels where he says, "Bitch, get me a soda."
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's at least
All
two
right, how about-
memorable things.
How about this gag? I kind of felt embarrassed for laughing at it, but I laughed when Austin Powers goes behind the couch. There's an escalator, and then the stairs, then the canoe.
That is funny.
That made me
I'm-
chuckle.
I agree. Yeah. I
That
still
scene was
do
a
that
real
gag.
yuck fest.
I still do that gag for people. Yeah, myself. Yeah. When
That sounds
when I
like
got-
something you'd do.
Yeah.
Did you
And here's
write
a piece
that
of-
scene?
I did. I did write that in '96, and I sent it in snail mail, and Jay Roach thought it was funny, so he put it in.
You pitched it to Mad TV first. They turned you down.
Right.
It's supposed to
right.
be part of a Miss Swan sketch.
And by the way, just a little fact: they used 3 sets of false teeth in from Mike Myers' character. And if you look at it, sometimes they're more yellow than other
I
scenes.
did notice that.
Boy, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well-
Hey,
Go ahead.
I want to say that couch scene. I like the couch part of it, but that's the scene that segues into Elizabeth Hurley wanting to fuck him.
Uh-huh.
So that part of the scene really makes me mad. And the worst part of that whole storyline is at the end when they're like trying to sneak into VirtueCon and she says she's still annoyed that he had sex with a lot of vagina. And she asks him, "Do you think she's prettier than me?"
Right.
I mean, she might as well just say, "Does my butt look fat in these jeans?" For God's
Yeah,
sake.
I don't get you sometimes, my friend.
Why don't you get that?
I don't get you. I mean, it's so sensitive. Who gives a shit? It's a fucking Austin Powers movie. It's not going to be waving the feminist flag here. Who cares?
It
Gives a
shouldn't
shit.
be waving the feminist flag. It should just be Austin Powers, who's a fucking cartoon, should not come across as more of a realistic person than the female lead that's supposed to be the straight man.
I didn't think that. I thought it was all just still so fucking silly and
I
stupid.
think it should be a
didn't-
two-hander, this movie. I think it would work better if Elizabeth Hurley had a bigger part.
Yeah. That's possible.
and was on even ground with Austin.
You don't think she's on even ground for the most part?
No. She is until that scene where she wants to fuck him, and then for the rest of the movie, she's just wet for Austin Powers.
All right.
And then they get married at the end, and do you remember how the second one starts, Hank?
I do. I do remember that. And
She
I don't.
turns
now
out to be
I'll-
a fembot.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now. I don't like that.
I don't like it either.
Yeah,
It's sort of like the end of that Friday the 13th remake. It undercuts the movie.
Right. Like I remember, like it kind of retcons what I thought was going to happen, and so so this whole fucking movie, she's a robot. You know, I mean, come on.
Or
Yeah,
maybe just at the end, but then what happened? Like they murdered her and
Right.
replaced her with a fembot? I don't like that either.
That would have been better, like an explanation. But as I recall, I don't recall much from it, but I recall that they just explained she was a fembot, and that's where I get a little realism annoyed. I'm just kind of like, come on, you're messing with me here. Yeah.
How'd you feel about the fembots?
I mean,
Better on paper? I don't know.
Yeah, I
they're not-
kind of like their introduction with the Nancy Sinatra, these boots are made for
Yes.
walking.
yeah, that was funny.
I maybe don't need the bullets to be coming out of their tits.
Was that offensive to you too, Dan?
I didn't mind that, but I maybe didn't need the barrels to come out and create nipples. Yeah. I liked... How about this for Of Its Day? Austin Powers, when he's trying to, like, just, like, kill them with his sexual prowess at the end, he pops cigarettes in all their mouths. You couldn't do
Yeah.
that today.
That's true.
That'd give you an R rating.
And a warning
Yeah.
sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would get the it would be the opposite of what they gave the remake of the Magnificent Seven, where I talked about earlier. with
Historical
the-
smoking.
Right, that this would be like futuristic smoking going on. Yeah.
Semi-quasi futuristic smoking.
Oh my
According
God.
to Dr.
Erotic
Evil.
smoking.
Erotic smoking. Yeah.
All right, I'm embarrassed to say I laughed at that scene when he's putting on his sexy moves and exploding the fembots. Again, wildly embarrassed to say that, but I laughed. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You don't have to apologize.
that's all right. There's plenty to laugh at that's embarrassing to laugh at. Here.
I didn't mind that scene too much. The worst part of that scene was there's music playing during it. I don't remember what song. And when Elizabeth Hurley opens the door and like sees him dancing, there's a real like movie trailer record scratch moment. You know what I mean? Like the music's playing and she opens the door and it's like Austin. Right. Oh, like come on, get real. That should never be in a movie ever. And its only place is in the trailer for like The Croods 2 or Hotel Transylvania 3.
I never thought of that. I never thought of the record scratch like actually happening in a movie.
That sucks.
And that, we're burnt out on it now, but this is 20 years ago, so it wasn't as sort of played out at that point.
Dude, It was totally played out. I'm pretty sure that happens in like Biodome.
Oh.
I think it happens in that Carrot Top movie, Chairman of the Board.
Oh my
dear Lord.
God.
That's right, I watched that movie.
Thank God that's not a franchise.
Oh, I have never. Okay, Biodome I've heard of. I've never even heard of Chairman of the Board.
Starring Carrot Top.
I've heard
Not
of that.
Frank Sinatra.
No.
Old Red Eyes.
I love it.
Oh well, you got anything else on this, Chris? Production? Any?
I'm looking over my notes. Demi Moore was a producer on the film, which I didn't know.
Yeah,
what's
she
that about?
really was.
How did that happen? Does anyone
I don't know.
hazard a guess?
I think that
She buddies with
she
him?
might have been set to play the Elizabeth Hurley role, and then
Oh.
Ridley Scott was like, "Hey, buddy, I'm making G.I. Jane over here. You want to make that instead?"
Want to do some push-ups?
But maybe she still took a producer role.
Kind of like Tobey Maguire in 25th Hour was going to play the Edward Norton role. Did you guys know that?
No,
No.
does he have a producer credit?
Yeah, he produced it, and he had to do Spider-Man.
By
So
the
he-
way, that movie would suck with Pussy Posse member Tobey Maguire.
I completely agree. Completely
I
agree.
would never be able to buy that Tobey Maguire inflicted violence on someone.
I agree. Or was a drug dealer, or had all those. He's just not the actor.
He's
the
too
same caliber.
fucking, weak from
He's-
all the wheatgrass.
He's wooden. He's a wooden. Yeah.
I met him years ago. I towered over him. I'm barely 5'9".
What'd you interview him for? Like the.
You know, I
ice-
met him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Holy
which is-
shit!
I used to cover that every year. And it was like a big celebrity political kind of confab. And, I don't think I even. Here's a funny story.
Let's hear a little bit about this, please.
Wait,
Yeah.
in the Bush White House?
I'm trying to think when it was.
But like
probably
Tobey
late-
Maguire's like ridiculously liberal, isn't he?
Yeah, well, listen, everyone came to that. I mean,
Yeah, it
for a
doesn't
while it
even
was the
matter.
celebrity kind of clatch.
Yeah.
But one time I saw Harrison Ford there, and he was in a big crowd, and I snuck up to him, and I was a huge Harrison Ford fan. I asked him 3 separate questions, and he answered with 3 separate one-word answers.
Give them all to me right now.
I don't forget him. It was just like it was completely unmemorable, but just he's the worst interview of all. De Niro is the worst, but he's the
Right.
second worst.
I know. I've seen Harrison Ford on like Conan. And
Yeah,
it
he's
sucks.
terrible. He's
Yeah.
terrible.
And he's gotten
But-
better too. He's trying. I think he's trying to be kind of jokey now, but like check him out 10 years ago, he was just dead.
What
And
was his most recent movie when you saw him at the Bush White House?
I don't know. I remember he had an earring, like a little stud earring in his ear.
He still
God.
does. Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Was it K-19 the Widowmaker?
Oh, it might have been.
Yeah.
It might not have been the Bush White House. It could have been the Clinton White House. Because Chris, you've been doing this for a long time, right?
Yeah,
So-
I'm trying.
it doesn't matter, but I mean, but the movie would be interesting. What about Tobey Maguire?
Was it 6
not
Days, 7 Nights?
I remember I thought it was around the Spider-Man time, and I think that's 2002.
That is
Yeah,
2002.
yeah, it
so
is.
it would have been K-19 the Widowmaker.
Okay, maybe it was.
But you did it every year. You said for a while.
Yeah, for like 6 or 7 years. So
Wow. And so did you have any kind of conversation with Tobey Maguire? Or
real brief. It's not a formal interview setting. You're like in a cocktail party.
right?
Kind of grab people as you can. So I couldn't get much out of him, and of course Harrison Ford, I got nothing. But my other favorite story is I remember it's a long night and it's exhausting, and I had to cover
Yeah.
the pre-party, the event, the after party, and like at the end of the day, I was like leaving the after party, which was like a really kind of cool, swanky affair, and I'm leaving like I'm tired. I see Dr. Ruth Westheimer partying at the store. Who's got to be like 50 years older than me. I'm like, oh God, I am awful. I'm just leaving this party, but she's still rocking.
That's amazing. You know what I'd ask Tobey Maguire?
What?
How does it
That's
feel
back.
being the poor man's Topher Grace?
Ooh.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Hey, I do have one more Austin Powers thing to talk about. I have a
sure.
theory. Wait, what were you going to say, though, Henry? Just
Oh
now.
no, I'm just gonna say I didn't know you had such animosity for Tobey Maguire.
I don't. He's fine in the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, that's how I
but,
feel.
like, whatever with that guy.
Right, I agree.
I think I hate Leonardo DiCaprio so much that by proxy I hate Tobey Maguire.
Oh my god.
Is that pussy proxy?
Oh, that's the best joke of the episode. Okay.
Pussy proxy.
I have a theory about why this movie doesn't hold up besides our ages.
Okay.
Okay. So, this is 1997. The kings of comedy in Hollywood are the Farrelly brothers. All right? They done Dumb and Dumber. We're a year away from There's Something About Mary.
Mhm.
So, the way to go in comedy at the time, if you were into comedy, it was gross out humor.
Yeah.
And you could still have actual characters. There's Something About Mary has good performances in it and stuff, but it's gross out humor. And that's what it was for years, was big set pieces were the jokes. And
Right.
things like Scary Movie or, whatever, Old School, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then, or the American Pie movies, we'll cover those. And I want to do all the straight to DVD ones.
We're gonna do that in a couple of years.
I'm busy that time. Sorry.
So
yeah.
So in the 2000s, I'm working at Blockbuster. All right? And right around the same time, Wedding Crashers and The 40-Year-Old Virgin come out on DVD. And I remember constantly listening to customers argue over what was better, Wedding Crashers or The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Jesus Christ.
Because Wedding Crashers was how comedies had been done for many years at that point and was a pretty good example of it. And 40-Year-Old Virgin was something new and exciting, where there were a couple of like sex gags in that movie, but for the most part, it was about having good characters talking realistically in dialogue about character stuff or pop culture. And I think that movie ended up doing so much better than Wedding Crashers. Like, over time, Wedding Crashers stopped being rented, and 40-Year-Old Virgin was still constantly rented out.
Makes sense.
And,
like a baton handoff.
And then that's what happened with mainstream comedy, where Apatow was producing everything in sight, and even when he wasn't, we were getting things like I Love You, Man. You know what I mean? I know.
Yeah.
But then I think after The Hangover was such a big hit and like Funny People tanked a little bit, or a lot, let's be honest. I think there was another sea change, and that's why I mostly don't enjoy mainstream comedies these days. Because I want to go back to that like era between like 2005 and 2010.
Do you think we're back? Are you saying we're back to?
I don't think we're fully back there, but I do think the vast majority of comedies that come out are trying to do big set piece, gross out gags. You know, even movies I like 21 Jump Street.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that's a bummer. And I think, to me, that's why Austin Powers doesn't hold up, because it's a real throwback to that era of comedy, and that's not what I crave anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you. Yeah.
It's a good point. I remember watching Ghostbusters recently, the new one, and I think all the jokes and the scenes that fall flat are the attempts at a big side-splitting sort of visual gag. And yet the jokes that actually work are sort of the throwaway, character-driven pieces.
Interesting. I'm watching that later today for the first time. I have it out on Netflix right now.
I will not be watching that until I have to for the show.
That's because you're sexist.
Until the gun is pointed at your temple.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, real quick, Chris, you're on our podcast, and you know our 5-star rating, so what do you give Ghostbusters remake on our scale?
Oh, that's tough.
3.
I got to go with 2. I think as a movie, it's a 2.5.
We don't do halves.
We don't do halves.
Yeah, so
2.
2.
Yeah,
sounds about right.
It botches the cameos. It doesn't keep sort of the spirit of the franchise as much as you want.
Paul Feig is such a frustrating person to me. I used to be the biggest fan of his. He created Freaks and Geeks with Apatow, and some of the best episodes are the ones he wrote. He wrote 2 memoirs that are amazing. I've actually reread them, and now I enjoyed Bridesmaids for the most part, and I just don't know what he's doing now. I hated Spy.
Oh, I did too.
That was garbage.
I didn't much care for The Heat.
I love The Heat.
And now he's got this Ghostbuster stuff. I would love it if Paul Feig went back to television, did a comedy for FX or Showtime or something, and just got back to his roots, just write characters. Paul Feig is not the one I want to see directing action sequences. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah. All right, are we done?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm good. We all have to rate this now. Star rating,
I'm ready.
everyone.
I'm ready.
Me too. You ready, Chris?
Yeah.
You're the guest of honor. You go first.
Oh, it's a hard one.
Our scale, as you know.
Yeah, no, I think
It was hard
I
for
think
me
I have
too.
to give it 3, and I give it 3 because again, it's a great character, and it is of its era. I can't judge it harshly for certain elements of it, but I think there are laughs, and I think it. I mean, just from the pop culture perspective alone, I think it shook things up a bit, and I think it. And I have a soft spot for both the '60s and British things, so I think it kind of hits both of those sweet spots.
And your MVP and LVP.
Well, we'll do that after. I want to say I'm
Okay.
agreeing with Christian. I'm going 3.
I am too.
Okay.
I almost went 4.
I almost went 2.
Yeah. I almost went 4, and then I just said, no, I can't do that. So it's a 3 across the board. Wow, look at that.
Solid, decent movie.
Okay.
You could
Now
still
it's-
watch it.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
great, but you could still watch it.
Now it's time for MVP, LVP. Dan, you want to go?
Yeah. Okay, listen. My MVP for the character that made me laugh the most is Seth Green. But if you like this movie, and I do, you're silly if you don't go with Mike Myers. So I'm just going to go with Mike Myers.
Okay. And your LVP?
Oh, my LVP... Give me a second. You guys do MVPs.
My
Go ahead,
MVP and LVP are pretty interesting. I've never done this before. My MVP is Mike Myers as well. He is also my LVP because
He's your MVP for performance and LVP for writer?
for writer, yeah, right. Because I was almost going to say he's my MVP for Dr. Evil and my LVP for Austin Powers, but that's not fair. So really, it's MVP for his performance and LVP for writer. Yeah, definitely. So he splits my bill. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to go MVP, Elizabeth Hurley, mainly because, I mean, I know it's Myers' movie and it's his character, and I get that. But I think she is a real secret weapon here. And I think once you see the 2 and the 3 again, you're going to realize how much she brings to this. And my LVP, I do think it with Mike Myers, the writer, or Mike Myers' ego. Because I think he is, and I don't know if I can even quantify that, but yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure he wrote some good stuff here, and I'm sure a lot of his improv is pretty spot on.
Yeah.
But it's that nagging faith in jokes that just don't work, and the ego to kind of resist any sort of criticism. It hurts the movie.
No
point.
argument here.
So are you going with that as your LVP?
No,
Dan?
I'm going LVP, Will Ferrell for dressing in blackface, and random
Tom
task for raping people. I thought about Tom Arnold. I also thought about the Irish guy and Frau Farbissina, because as much as I loved Dr. Evil, he made those scenes, and Seth Green, I did not care for really any of the henchman characters. Yeah,
Okay.
Are you guys Howard Stern listeners, by the way?
sometimes. My
Because
dad
for
is a big
years-
fan.
Not really.
But for years, they would play that the Frau whatever screaming Scott for Scott the engineer.
Oh, sure.
You were on Howard Stern a lot, weren't you, Chris?
He read my column on the air once. That was my big Stern.
I thought he interviewed you.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Dennis Miller did.
Oh, really?
I used to be on there like every 2 months or so.
Oh, yeah? Man, that interview was like the Dukakis election. Am I right?
By the way, I'm kind of pissed off that Zack Snyder didn't have a cameo in this particular podcast. I really enjoyed him the last couple times.
Well, he's going to come back. He wants to come back. He's been bothering me, actually. He's been texting me a lot. It's
I can
very
see.
irritating. So we're going to have to...
He'll be
What-
back
what-
for Dawn of the Dead.
Right.
And he'll
Yeah.
be back for... Has he done any? Oh, 300. There's a second one of those.
Yeah, he'll be back for those. Don't worry. He'll definitely make an appearance. I mean, he's fun. He's a decent guy who means well.
Yeah, and I think
nice
he's the
to
kind of
us.
guy, once he starts texting you, he doesn't stop.
You got that right. My phone is exploding.